When it comes to shipping characters in MLP with each other, it's kind of a big deal amongst the fandom. Like I've said before, in one video I did over during the weekend, or at least on the last day of BronyCon, which I did not attend and I hope to attend next year in some capacity. I basically said in that video that I wouldn't be surprised that during the weekend, one of the major discussions thrown around was the shipping. Who gets shipped with who? What characters in MLP are perfect for each other or are meant to be with each other? I wouldn't be surprised if that argument got talked about and discussed, or that debate, if you want to look at it that way, was discussed and talked about throughout the convention. But the shipping in MLP kind of reminds me a little bit of the shipping in the Sonic fandom. If not any fandom, but mostly the Sonic fandom, because I'm a major fan of that. I'm one of the big fans of that. And one of the things I noticed as being a long-time fan, and anybody can agree with me watching this, is there's always been this debate of who Sonic should be with. The two biggest shippings that fans would like to see Sonic be part of course, are Sonic and Amy, and Sonic and Sally. And just like Spike and Rarity, Sonic and Sally is probably the most vocally acknowledged and supported pairing in the Sonic fandom, if not the franchise itself. Sonic and Amy also has a major supporting of the fans as well, but not as vocal or as big as Sonic and Sally. But yet you still have that fan base, and it's at times gradually growing, especially anytime people write Amy in a way that makes it feel like she would be a great foil, if you will, for Sonic. Heck, a lot of people pretty much say that Amy is basically turned into Sally when it comes to the IDW comics. And a lot of people say that Tangle is basically the IDW version of Sally. But when you take a look at MLP though, just like Sonic and Sally is the most vocalized and supported shipping of the Sonic franchise, of the overall Sonic franchise and fandom, because of its believability, and both bounce off each other very well, the same goes for Spike and Rarity, Sparity of MLP. But in comparison, just like Sonic and Amy have supporters but not as vocal, well, pairing a character like Spike up with other characters from MLP, mostly other members of the main six, exception being Twilight, but of course there are those supporters too, is not far off, because you have a very vocalized fan base when it comes to the other characters in the main six. Like I said, even with the exception of Twilight, except for a few fans here and there, you have basically a majority of fans not as vocally as supportive of Sparity, Spike, and Rarity, but you still have that vocalized fan group and fan base that would like to see Spike be with these other characters. Heck, the second most popular ship that fans want to see Spike be a part of is Applejack. Yeah. Applejack is the second most requested, or if not supported, pairing that a lot of fans feel that Spike should be with, or be part of. Why? Well, because basically a lot of fans would look at the moments in MLP, in Friendship is Magic, and basically say that it would work out fine. Heck, it goes all the way back to Season 1, when Spike did that little fantasy in his head about saving Rarity in a Dog and Pony show, and because he's just daydreaming so much and fantasizing so much, he doesn't realize, as soon as he gets woke up, that he's this close to kissing Applejack. And she's the one that has to wake him up. Heck, when he thanks the others for the presents he gets in Secret of My Excess, the first character he hugs out of them, besides of course that little cheek nuzzling he had with Rarity earlier, the first character he actually embraces real quickly and tightly is Applejack. Heck, one of the episodes in the series, Spike Etch's Service, pretty much is the reason this pairing is supported. But of course, there are other moments as well. Heck, the Apple Family Reunion had a cute moment between them, according to fans, that you can find here on the YT, where basically she uses Spike as a freaking lighter to light multiple cauldrons for the barbecue. But again, though, and heck, you even look here on YouTube, and there's even a lot of PMVs, Pony Music videos, well, not a lot, but several, supporting the pairing as well. But the question is why? Well, some fans would argue that, unlike Rarity, who they feel basically uses and takes advantage of Spike because she knows of his affection for her and his crush on her and his love for her, Applejack would be more receptive. She'd be more willing. The same could be said for a character like Starlight. Heck, the CC Network did a countdown of the top ships they'd like to support and see, and the top one was Starlight and Spike. Because, just like with Applejack, it feels like Starlight would be more understanding of where Spike's coming from and be more receptive of a possible relationship. And it also doesn't help that you have several episodes in Season 6 and even the more recent Season 8 episode, A Matter of Principles, which debuted on Australia's Boomerang and is going to officially debut in the US this morning. It doesn't help that you kind of have those episodes around to support the claim. But, believe it or not, Spike and Starlight and Spike and Applejack ain't the only ones. The other pairings, of course, include the other main 6 members, but the third most popular one behind those two, the fourth most popular one overall, but the third most popular one behind Starlight and Applejack being alternatives to Rarity, is Rainbow Dash. Yeah, Rainbow Dash. And you can't tell me that ain't true, because there are PMVs, there are fan arts, there are stories that basically support this. And heck, take that moment in Shadow Play Part 1 when the main 6, along with Spike helping them, have to go on separate little quests to get the items of the pillars, the magical items that belong to the pillars. There's a moment in there that you have Spike, going with Rainbow Dash to the Dragonland to get Flash Magnus' shield. And it's like, seriously, what the heck? You can't be any more supportive? Or can it be more teasing of something like that? And then, of course, you do have moments between them in the other seasons as well. But fans have even argued that would be the best ship for Spike. That, along with Apple and Starlight, are the best alternatives. Yes, they've even tried Pinky. They've even tried Fluttershy. But here's the thing. The reason they opened the door more so for those 3 to be alternatives to Rarity is the fact that 3 are not really in any kind of serious relationship or even teased to have possibly some kind of relationship with a character like, let's say, Fluttershy and even Pinky. Now you might say, Pinky, what are you talking about? Well, fans to this day feel Pinky is better suited to be with Cheese Sandwich. And they still support that. That's why you don't see many Spike Pinky supporters. Or is like you would do with Rarity Spike, Apple Spike, Starlight Spike, or Rainbow and Spike. The same with Fluttershy. Why? Because of her connection with Discord. Now, the reason I bring this all up is because despite the fact that those 3 alternatives have major support groups and shipping groups behind them to hopefully want to see it become a reality, Spike and Rarity, Sparity is the most vocalized. It's still the most supported, even to this day, and there have been recent drawings supporting this. So, why would I compare it with Sonic and Sally and Sonic and Amy? Because even though fans may not want to see Sonic and Sally together, even though that's a relationship, that even though that's a romance in a ship, even though that's a pairing that's been officially shipped and supported well, I wouldn't say day one of the franchise, but basically since day one of the comic book and animated adaptations of the franchise, and basically the very first one officially in the franchise overall, you can't blame fans to want to see it continue in some capacity, even to the point that I guarantee you, is whenever the day comes that the Freedom Fighters do show up in the IDW comics, fans are going to want to see that relationship become a reality again. No doubt. And that's the same thing with Spike and Rarity. Whenever the day comes that the creative staff finds a subtle way to get these two together, and possibly in the possibility of that happening is most likely the final season, the day they find a very subtle way of making it happen to where the fans know, but it doesn't come off as, creepy or, lovey-dovey kind of deal, but it being very subtle, the moment that happens, fans are going to be happy. You're going to have fans praising that moment and maybe even praising that episode, because that's the moment they've been waiting for. That's the moment they've been waiting for. I mean, I'm not saying that if they decide to throw a twist our way and go the Spike Applejack way, or the Spike Starlight way, or even Spike Rainbow Dash way, that fans won't be happy about it. They will be. But they'll be more excited and more happy if they go and subtly put Rarity and Spike together as an item, but like I say, do it in a very subtle way to where it doesn't come off as such, but it's coming off in a way that it's like a wink to you. It's like a nod saying, hey, yeah, these two are an item now. So again, getting back to point here, when that moment happens, and I'm believing it's going to be around the last season, don't be surprised if you get a majority of fans and speaking high praises for that moment and high praises for the episode it happens in, because it's got to happen sometime sooner or later. I mean, look, I know Ms. Anthropody Map isn't too thrilled that even up to this season they still tease it or talk about it or reference it, but I think even Map and people like Cartoon Gentleman have pretty much said it best, like everybody else. If you're going to do something with it, do something. Either acknowledge it and have them go their separate ways, or do something that or do something period that maybe puts them together, and that's it. And like I said, the best way they can do it will probably be around the last season, but they'll do it in a very subtle way. It's just like with Sonic and Sally. We knew eventually throughout the first season and in the second season and all that, we knew these two were attracted to each other. We knew these two were kind of an item, but it was shown and done in a very subtle way to basically, when we got to the finale, which was the Doomsday Project, was it finally acknowledged as being officially canonized in the franchise, courtesy of the Saturday finale Doomsday Project. The same could be said for Spike and Rarity. And it could be officially done, like I say, in a very subtle way, to where, like I said, and I know I sound like a broken record here and I do apologize, that they're an item now, but it's not coming off as such. And I think it could work. And I think, honestly, they go that well, it could work and probably will work. It'll probably work in a way that even those that don't support Spike and Rarity will actually be happy it was done in a way that doesn't basically say, oh yeah, now they're an item, see, kind of shove it in your face kind of deal. So, again, the reason I did this video is basically, in a sense, to compare the similarities. Like I said, as a longtime fan of the Sonic franchise, I've noticed that there's been a very major vocal portion of the fan base that wants Sonic and that supports Sonic and Sally even to this day. And the reason being is because it was the first official couple in the series, technically here on US soil. But I've also seen as being a longtime fan, fans wanting to pair Sonic up with other characters, like an Amy Rose, like a Blaze, like a Rouge. Heck, now even a Tangle and all that, and even maybe a Whisper. I've seen fans do that because they would rather have Sonic be with these ladies instead of Sally because they don't feel Sally's the right fit for him. And as you can tell, there are, in a sense, similarities when you look at the shippings that fans want to see, that fans would rather put Spike in when it comes to him being with Rarity. Instead, they would rather have him be with these other characters like an Applejack or a Starlight and a Rainbow because they have various reasons. Even an Ember or a Smolder because they have various reasons. Heck, Ember and Smolder, the only way fans would want to see that happen is because they're both dragons like Spike, and it makes sense. Same way with, Sonic and Amy. See what I'm saying? But again, the other similarity that some people seem to gloss over is when people were supporting Sonic and Amy, even after and even before the transformation, the redesign, fans never pointed out the age difference like fans are doing with Spike because, there wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, there were as time went on, they would point out the age difference, but even after the transformation, they would point out the age. You kind of get where I'm coming from, right? As time went on, they wouldn't really acknowledge the age anymore because technically physically she was the same age, but mentally she wasn't. Spike, we don't know about. We know he's had several birthdays, but we don't know what his real age is. Dragon age wise, that is. We don't know. He acts smarter than he looks. He acts more mature than he seems. So my estimation, as I've said, I believe age-wise, from a dragon perspective, he's the same age as the rest of the main six. He's probably the same age as a Rarity. He's probably the same age as a Dash. Who knows? But that's never really acknowledged. All we know is, he's a baby dragon, so it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Really? Did you not go back in time and look at these other franchises, like it said, like Sonic? I'm just saying. I think basically when it comes down to it is how the character that Spike is infatuated with treats him. Same with Sonic. Fans don't like how Sally sometimes gets upset with Sonic and mistreats him, so they want him to be with somebody else. Same with Rarity. People don't like how they seem to think Rarity takes advantage of Spike, so they'd rather have Spike, despite the argument of age, be with someone like an Applejack or Starlight or Rainbow, or an Ember or a Smolder. Just because they don't like what Rarity's doing. But yet, it's still the ship that's supported the most. Just like Sonic and Sally were in the Sonic fandom. So, I thought I'd just bring up the similarities and get you guys' thoughts on it. Let me know what you all think about the comparison. Do you see kind of that similar comparison? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'll talk to y'all later.